By the year 2049, Earth has become a toxic wasteland. Humanity, in a desperate bid to survive, has abandoned the planet and fled into space. Left behind are an army of mechanized Orbots, whose sole mission is to clean up the mess that humans left behind. One of the Orbots, Raster, who oversees Earth's cleanup from a planet-wide computer network, accidentally becomes attached to a working nuclear missile. The result? He goes insane and rebrands himself as Warhead, the self-declared ruler of Earth. His plan? Eliminate any human who dares return to the planet. Enter Vectorman, our hero. He's another Orbot, but this one's job is to clean up the toxic waste by transporting it to the sun. While away from Earth on one of his missions, he receives a message about Warhead's rebellion. Armed with nothing but his courage and a whole lot of firepower, Vectorman takes it upon himself to stop Warhead and save the planet. Mankind's last hope rests on his robotic shoulders, and his adventure begins across a mechanized, dangerous Earth. Vectorman's combat abilities are powered by the shots on his arms and the boost functions on his legs. Throughout his journey, he can upgrade his arsenal with power-ups found in TV screens or power sacks, transforming his shots into more powerful weapons. And that's not all. Vectorman can morph into different forms, like a speeding train, a power drill, or even a rhino, all to help him navigate the hostile terrain. But he's not just a serious robot. Vectorman's got a sense of humor too, cracking jokes even in the face of danger. Corrupt Orbots and mutant insects better watch out, because Vectorman is coming to clean house. Welcome back to SEGA Lores. If you're new here, I'm Corey Maru, and today we'll be exploring the origins and development of Vectorman, the mean green cleaning machine that fought to save a toxic Earth in the 90s. If you're a fan of SEGA characters and want to see more deep dives like this, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below which SEGA character you'd like for me to cover next. Now, let's dive into the awesome design and development of Vectorman. After completing 2 successful titles for the Genesis, BlueSky Software wanted to create something that would push the system's limits, especially as newer consoles were starting to dominate. SEGA, noticing the success of Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo, wanted a competitor that could rival Nintendo's pre-rendered 3D graphics. Vectorman originally started as a 3D tech demo created by the tool's programmer, Carl Rawbillard. His work was inspired by vector ball demos for the Amiga, which showcased early 3D rendering techniques. This demo sparked the idea for a game that could feature a segmented spherical character made of individual sprites, allowing for fluid animations and unique transformations. Game designer Rich Karpp, alongside artists Mark Lorenzen and designer Jason Winsner, took this concept and expanded it into a fast-paced platformer, influenced by games such as Gunstar Heroes, Cool Spot, and Disney's Aladdin. Rich envisioned a character made up of segmented pieces, individual sprites tied together to form one cohesive figure. This technique allowed for dynamic movements and transformations throughout the game. To finalize Vectorman's appearance, the team brought in character designer Rick Smits. After several iterations, they settled on the iconic green Orbot design we know today. The game also introduced a programming technique known as vector piece animation, which enabled smooth transitions between animations and allowed the game to run at a crisp 60 frames per second. The team originally planned for Vectorman sprite pieces to be all spherical, but would have enabled more elaborate transformations and 3D cutscenes. However, due to time constraints, his transformations were limited to specific forms like a drill or a car. While SEGA wasn't heavily involved during development, the BlueSky team aimed to create something that would match the company's bold image and live up to the high expectations of SEGA fans. The result? A fast-paced platformer packed with action, innovative graphics, and attitude. Vectorman hit North American shelves on October 24, 1995, and arrived in Europe on November 30th. SEGA invested $12 million into marketing, with flashy commercials and sweepstakes to get the word out. The game was a hit both critically and commercially, and it succeeded its goal of keeping the Genesis relevant during the transition to next-gen consoles. Thanks to its success, Vectorman got a sequel in 1996, but sadly, it was one of the last major titles released for the Genesis. Vectorman 2 continued the story and brought new abilities and stages, but it didn't quite achieve the same level of recognition as the original. There were plans for a third game, with some concepts even floating around for a Vectorman 3 on both Genesis and Game Gear, as well as later for the Sega Saturn. Artist Ellis Goodson and designer Jason Wisner put together concept art and design documents, but sadly, the project never got off the ground. Sega also attempted to reboot Vectorman in the early 2000s for the PlayStation 2 as a third-party action game. This version of Vectorman featured destructible environments and advanced AI, but was ultimately cancelled after being shown at E3 2003. Despite not seeing new games, Vectorman's legacy lives on in the Sega community, as Ballgun made a cameo in the House of the Dead Overkill, The Lost Reels as a minigun skin, complete with the original sound effects from the Genesis game. Fans even tried to get Vectorman into Sonic and All-Star Racing's Transformed as a DLC character through a voting poll in the old Sega forums. With his morphing abilities, Vectorman was considered as a potential racer, but unfortunately, he was left out due to technical difficulties with his 3D model. However, the fact that so many fans rallied behind the green Orbot shows just how much love there is still for him. In conclusion, Vectorman is a perfect example of Sega's willingness to innovate during the 90s. His design, attitude, and the gameplay he brought to the table left a lasting impact on the gaming community. Even though we haven't seen him in a new game for a while, Vectorman remains a beloved character for many Sega fans. What are your favorite memories of Vectorman? Do you think he deserves a comeback? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the lore of Vectorman, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future episodes of SEGA Lores. Until then, this is Corey Muru signing off. See you all in the next video.